Marriage demolition. Part 2. Update 2. I'll attempt to describe what's transpired since my last post, despite the fact that I'm sure I'll use improper legal phrases and words in the process. However, according to what I've been informed, it's a federal requirement for the prosecution and defense to present all evidence and possible witnesses prior to a trial. There was a reason why my lawyer kept the video of my STBXW and Marcus cheating hidden. It wasn't a trial, but more of a hearing, with a judge presiding. My lawyer presented a USB drive as evidence, but the film was on a tablet. To cut a long tale short, Marcus either didn't realize I had evidence or forgot I informed him. I do recall putting my phone aside after filming them before pulling out my revolver. As a result, he and my wife never saw a phone. Because he declined to testify, the charges were withdrawn. His father is a business entrepreneur and a former judge. He couldn't have it put into evidence and viewed by the public during a trial in which his name was linked. So I genuinely escaped with my life. My lawyer is fairly positive she could have persuaded a jury to convict me. However, the absence of accusations or a trial is preferable. Marcus exited the courtroom before I could. As soon as I switched on my phone, I received alerts about missed messages and calls from a strange number that I mistook for my wife. Because I didn't read or listen to anything, I didn't react to anything, but I was certain she just discovered I had video proof. She was either attempting to make peace or waging war. Her lawyer might consult with my lawyer. No, I haven't communicated with her in any way, shape, or form. I knew she was dead to me the instant I caught her cheating on me. If I want to communicate with the dead, I'll have a seance. I have a highly respected divorce attorney, and he was the first person I tried to contact once the charges were dismissed. Obviously, the video will be required in divorce court, so I won't be able to show it to Marcus' wife. In any case, not yet. I'd imagine she'd find out via the grapevine, but who knows? He most likely prepared a preemptive strike and informed his wife anything just in case, but I doubt he gave a complete confession. My folks were overjoyed. I contacted them while they were on vacation to inform them of the fantastic, unexpected news. We were all anticipating the case to go to trial. Nobody anticipated the hearing to be the end of the criminal case. Now I'm concentrating on divorce, and my lawyer has my wife's divorce documents. It's not going to be as easy as my STBXW anticipated. She is now residing in the home. That puts me at a disadvantage, but my lawyer is attempting to mitigate the situation with some papers. I don't want to live in that home again. After seeing what I witnessed, I'd never want to live there again. In addition, I've heard it needs some repairs and new appliances. But, to be honest, I don't want it for her either. With property prices skyrocketing, I'd want to sell it altogether, along with the land. She shouldn't receive it if only because she was the one who ended the marriage. She should have kept her legs locked if she intended to stay there. Actions have consequences, and if she thinks obtaining some odd D is worth losing a property for, she shouldn't be in real estate. On the work front, I want to utilize the following week to either reclaim my previous position or find a new one. I don't want to fire anybody, particularly in such a specialist sector. But now I'm forced to hire attorneys to accomplish things I never wanted to do before. I know whomever replaces me will lack my expertise and knowledge, as well as my familiarity with the team. Don't believe I'll be jobless for long anyway. I never imagined I'd say I'm looking forward to getting back to work. The previous few months, however, have not been a holiday. I simply need something to concentrate on other than the divorce right now, and I'd want to try to forget that messed up night. I'm undoubtedly fortunate that I'm not dead, and I'm even more fortunate that I'm not imprisoned. But the whole scenario irritates me. Not only the money squandered on legal expenses, the squandered time, the statements I thought were true, but now realize were falsehoods, the deceit. I couldn't have known her if I hadn't met her. And the fact that I acted like a fool in front of someone I'd never met is upsetting. I mean, if you want to go postal and beat the out of someone over a deserving, devoted, and loving lady, go ahead. But to go berserk for someone who lied and never cared, it's not worth a single punch. And it's definitely not worth the bullets. Learn from my error, it's not worth it. But yes, if individuals could simply be honest with themselves and others, the world would be a better place. My STBXW is always attempting to communicate. Before she surrendered any part of herself to another guy, she needed to connect. I'd want to start anew someplace close to my parents but far enough away that I don't run across my STBXW or her AP. I despise large cities, but tiny communities have their own kind of ugliness. I earn a lot of money. I did and will continue to do so. After the previous several months, the idea of starting over with fresh things seems quite enticing. I can't think of someplace else I'd rather live. I simply know I don't want to live here. I'm happy we didn't have children, since this would have been a far worse experience. It's so nice to be able to ghost her and go on without a kid always. Linking everyone, and I adore children. One day, I want to have children, but, thank God, I didn't have any with a lady who was capable of doing that to me. At the very least, I know I can have a life and a work again. I'm having a bad time with this thing called life right now, but the fact that I have freedom and opportunity gives me optimism. I can let her go as a great blunder in my life, a tragedy of epic proportions. After all of this and what I did, I know I need treatment. I have a 2-week appointment to begin individual therapy. I already know I'm going to be slammed for my rage problems, but I need to hear it. And I need someone to assist me in putting my life back together after everything fell apart. I appreciate the counsel that has been offered to me here. I appreciate the positive feedback as well as the negative feedback. I accept that what I did was a mistake. I can only improve myself in the future. I can't alter who I was in the past. Final update. I've been debating how to even begin to convey what has transpired and where things stand for days. I owed it to those who have offered me sound advice since my blunder to provide an update. But merely recounting what occurred, with all the specifics and drama, would take much too long. Our attorneys started communicating. My STBXW side continued asking if she and I could communicate, and I kept saying no. Our side attempted to push the conversations forward and start the ball going on our side. My lawyer believed they were getting twitchy every time the home and property were discussed. But they insisted on meeting face-to-face and talking, claiming that it was critical for both of our futures, whether separated or together. I was still tempted to say no, but my lawyer basically informed me that I'd have to face her in court at some point and that we should meet. They knew we had proof of adultery but hadn't seen it. My lawyer wanted to know precisely what they were going to say and what angle they were taking. I just didn't want to see or hear her. We met since they were unwilling to conduct a group text. We gathered in a conference room at my attorney's office. When my wife and her lawyer entered, I was already seated. I wanted my stare to portray a mixture of hatred and revulsion. She began weeping and walking toward me, indicating that it had failed. I told her to F off, which made her weep even more. I started to move back and away from her, which caused her to stop approaching. I'll spare you the details, but I cursed her out more than any human has ever been cursed out. She'd never heard me shout at her until that fateful night. I never cursed at her before that day in the conference room, not even that dreadful night. I let it all hang out. Every heinous idea I had about her, every horrifying belief I had about her, and everything I wanted would happen to her. Her lawyer was completely taken aback, whereas mine was just little taken aback, although I informed him to anticipate it when he consented to the meeting. My wife now understood that I meant every word I spoke and despised her for what she'd done to us, what she'd done to me. We had to take a 30-minute break before the meeting could begin to cool down. When we finally met, my wife requested that I talk to her without interruption. I wouldn't be able to provide a word-for-word recount of what she said if I tried, so I won't. She began by apologizing profusely for all that had occurred. She wanted I would call her or respond to her messages, but she knew it wouldn't happen given what I said earlier. Then she proceeded to inform me that the land we own may be worth a lot of money in the not-too-distant future. Apparently, a corporation that I will not name, but that everyone has heard of wants to buy a large quantity of property to develop on. The agreement would be contingent on the sale of additional landowners, and I'm talking about a lot of land that the firm would be purchasing. Our property is in a rural zone, X miles from a power plant, X miles from a major highway, airport, water supply, and so on. It meets all of their requirements. Then she said we needed to talk about the land since she couldn't sell it without me. That's when I intervened. But you could have if I'd gone to jail, couldn't you? I said. It wasn't a question at all. Her lawyer's look told me the answer. Then she revealed that she had instructed Marcus not to pursue charges. I was sprinting because I wanted to strike someone. But I can't punch a lady because my attorney would sue me. I didn't mind that they continued to communicate after that night, but it still irritated me. She said that they needed to keep in touch since he was the guy behind the attempted transaction. He stands to earn a fortune as the agent, and we stand to profit much more as the owners. Because of his parents' jobs, he has extensive political and real estate contacts. But when he saw a chance to exclude me from the equation, he seized it. He never showed up in a place nude, and he always had clothing in his vehicle, but I had no idea. The officers received a drastically different account from what really occurred. However, I'm not surprised. My wife stated she wouldn't testify when I was accused, but she couldn't get me to reply to her. She said that she was relieved that the accusations against me had been dismissed. That's when I inquired whether she was relieved before she discovered I'd videotaped her and Marcus. She didn't respond. I showed her and her lawyer the video I'd shot by handing them my phone. My lawyer probably didn't want me to show it, but they were aware of its existence and I couldn't show it to anybody else. I assured her that Marcus' wife will ultimately view the film. That's when she informed me I'd be wasting a lot of money I'd never make performing my job. I inquired whether money or greed was the reason she cheated. ISH the not. She really admitted to me that she cheated for us. The debate that erupted around that remark alone lasted more than an hour. We took a break for lunch, and I walked out to eat alone for an hour to get away from everyone. She delivered me wonderful news in an unusual manner, but it was wrapped in SH. The attorneys were ecstatic to learn of the probable sale of property. They knew we'd find out eventually, and any prospective quick sale I'd have to consent to. So they spilt the beans. If I want, I can cancel the entire thing. It won't cost Marcus anything right now, but it will prevent me from earning a lot of money. But I can't earn much money until my STBXW makes a lot of money as well. When I returned to the conference, my wife pretty much detailed how it all began. She was conducting one of those house showing parades. Marcus' agency was displaying 2 of the properties. They knew each other since they traveled in the same circles. But then he approached her and asked whether we were content where we were. He then said that he knew an agent who specialized in business/manufacturing locations. He outlined his concept, and I'm sure she saw many signs. Marcus, a well-known POS in our region, could most likely acquire the property from locals far more easily than someone they'd never encountered. Working together, the 2 agents could simply purchase cheap and sell high. Due to the location of our property, the transaction could not be completed without our participation. Marcus and my wife got involved by chatting to people and making plans. They then became physically intimate. So, 6 months before I realized it, my marriage dissolved. She said the 2 of them were just swept up in their enthusiasm about the money. She said it had no significance and was just. I wanted to beat my recent global cussing record, but I didn't want to blow out. I inquired if she and that POS had used condoms. They did, she claimed at first, but since she was on the pill, well, 6 days, 6F *****ing days, I said before labeling her a dirty useless. When she questioned what I was on about, I explained that when a male within a woman, that's how long may remain inside her. I felt like puking just thinking about what she had done to me. I inquired as to how she would want me to approach a prostitute, insert my fingers inside, and then place them in her mouth. Yes, it's revolting, but it's the same as what she did. She pretended to take showers. I told her she was a horrible SL, until she could stand on her head and spread her legs to rinse off. And she was perplexed as to why I was staring at her with a disgusted grimace. It's because I'm disgusted. She's horrible and has subjected me to SH I don't even want to think about. That doesn't even take into account what she said with her lips. Marcus can have the sense cheese tainted with his, but I needed to get out of there as soon as possible. I couldn't function for the rest of the day. For the first time since my after party at my father's cabin, I went out and got drunk. A part of me should be thrilled. And so am I if everything goes as planned. I'll be able to pay my attorneys in full, reimburse my parents tenfold, and have enough money to start over nearly anywhere. But the nonsense I've had to put up with in order to obtain that money sickens me more than my wife. Our 2 attorneys drafted an even split divorce after 3 terrible lawyers drafted an agreement. We won't be able to divorce until the land sells or the transaction falls through, but the divorce will be finalized and my marriage will be finished. It's not like I'm eager to be single so I can marry again. Despite my bad marital position, IF ***** ghosted her extremely well. It's not as if I have to meet or speak with the immoral Jezebel, but the fact that I still have any connection with her bothers me. I will not be able to contact Marcus' wife, either now or in the future. I'm not permitted to reveal my wife's film to her parents or relatives. However, she has informed them that we are divorcing and has admitted to having an affair. In any case, I received my job back and will begin working at a different location next week. There's discussion about sealing the accusations Marcus filed against me or something. But, thank God, my record is spotless. I'm still trying to make sense of her justifications and her attitude about those excuses. Granted, I'd be gone for 10 days at a time. I never suspected anything, and our life remained consistent. I wish that hadn't happened now. At the very least, the poor and lifeless rooms don't have to worry about spitting with a stranger. Her kissing me while placing her tongue in his lips or anyplace else was the same as letting a stranger spit in my mouth without my consent. But sick cheating garbage like my wife and Marcus don't seem to get it. Marcus' life with his wife must have continued throughout the affair. I'm not sure whether she realizes she went down on my wife via proxy at any point. I'm pleased I struck Marcus in the mouth now that I know what I know. I'm still thankful I didn't murder them or myself. However, they are both repulsive. Like licking a hobo's in an alley on a rubbish pile disgusting. Humans now detest me. It's beyond my understanding how she could freely offer her body to two different guys back and forth. I had several chances to cheat over the years, but chose not to do so for a variety of reasons, the most important of which was loyalty. But the thought of *****ing some I don't know, who may have been with any number of other people very lately, is absurd. Condoms will be condemned. Those things break and aren't impervious to anything. Except for monogamy, there is no safe. However, it only works if both individuals are loyal and have an ***** and up half the East Coast. If everything goes as planned, I may have ended up much, far worse than I should have, but we'll have to wait until next year to get things going. I'll continue to work like I have for years, but I won't have a place to call home. She is allowed to remain in the home until the sale and is responsible for all expenditures. The home will be destroyed following the sale, so no one will reside there. The vast bulk of our land is still underdeveloped. There is no way in hell the home can be moved out and miles away. I'll be notified when I need to sign documents, and I'll show up to do so. Then our pathways will split quicker than my wife's legs for a $100 note, and I'll be able to continue with cash in hand. But she wrecked my life, and it's not even fair. She devalued me just by being affiliated with me. She divulged something that I didn't want to know, because it all stems from the first remark on my first article. I understand that not every lady is like my wife. I can attest that not every man is a jerk like Marcus. But I'll be darned if those individuals don't screw things up for the rest of us. Why do it seem that two faithful persons with a strong relationship never meet? Almost every post on here is about a good guy/good lady who got connected with a man and the ramifications of that stupid choice. Forget about ever being able to trust again. I can't bear the thought of ever trusting somebody like that again. Nobody is worth what she has done to me, and she most clearly was not. It irritates me that he'll get away with it. I suppose the rest of the world will have to wait and see whether karma can terrify him as much as I did. I don't understand why there should be another update. She and I are getting divorced. Money will be put into both mine and her accounts, and I'll never see her or talk to her again. Either way, that's how it'll end. It's just been put on hold indefinitely. I'd want to thank everyone who offered me advice, instructed me to keep my mouth shut, and encouraged me to get attorneys. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to keep going. To those who thought I should eat a bullet, I say go eat a hobo. I'll probably disappear for a day or two after publishing to answer to a few comments. I desire healing for all of you who have been dumped, as I do for myself. Until that time. Last edit. This is my final post in this topic. I am grateful to all who have supported me. I also thank those who gave me a kick in the shins. To the haters, I support your freedom to do so. Just know that I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. As things now stand, the land will most likely be sold in April or May. The industrial real estate agent has removed many of the obstacles that the corporation would have to overcome in order to purchase the property. There is no word on when the clearing and construction will begin, but I'll have my money by then and won't mind. As a result, as much as possible is being rushed. My wife still calls or messages me now and again, but I don't answer, read, or react. I don't think she cares about me, and she never has. Giving your body to random strangers for their enjoyment is foreign to me. The idea that she can do that with her body disgusts me, and I don't want anything to do with her or anybody like her. It honestly bothers me that I cherish her body more than she does. But hey, whatever. In any case, I'm done with relationships. Because of my wife's behavior, there is no way in hell I could have a kid with any woman. I do want children. However, following the property sale, I may decide to use a surrogate. My wife's sole contribution to the table after her adultery is children. Women don't need males to have children anymore, and I certainly don't need another adulterous, disloyal wife to do it. And at the very least, I'll know my children are being morally and ethically raised. My ex-wife does not have either of those things, and her behaviors demonstrated that she would never be a decent wife, and that she will be a terrible mother. God bless whatever kid that WH brings into the world.